Hello, everyone, and welcome to BSC News Live. Thank you very, very much for tuning in. As always, at the end of last week and also during last week, we mentioned that we'll have, today, DotBit with us. And we are very, very lucky and honoured to have Vicky from DotBit. So thank you very, very much for your time, first of all, Vicky. It's great to have you here. Would we be able to begin, perhaps, would you like to introduce yourself and maybe some of the team at DotBit?
Yeah, sure. First, I really enjoy the warm-up music you guys have. It's really cool. Reminded me of like college clubbing. And hi everyone, Vicky. I'm currently in charge of the marketing and sponsorship in DotBit. And DotBit is quite a distributed team. All of the team members are currently based in different areas in the world. So I'm in the States and our founders in Singapore and our dev teams, probably most of them in Japan, in mainland China, in Singapore as well. So we're very glad to be invited to this live and glad to see you guys all. And really, really nice to talk to you again, Tom.
Thank you. Well, it's always wonderful to talk to you. So yeah, thank you for the introduction. And that's one of the great things about crypto is, no matter where you are in the world, it brings people together. And it's a little bit the same at BSC News. We've got a lot of the team in America, some of us in the UK, some of us, there's quite a few all over Africa. One of them, a couple in the Middle East, quite a few in the Netherlands as well. So yeah, it brings together people from all over the world, which is quite nice. And back to DotBit, I'm going to bring up a link for your website shortly and put it as a QR code on the screen as well, just so people can scan it and sort of, go to the website and click along while we're talking about it. Would you be able to just tell us an overview of what DotBit is and what you do and what services you offer?
Yeah, sure. So DotBit is a unified cross-chain identity for individuals and communities, and DotBit provide quite a lot of things, different functions, such as you can use it as a decentralized identity in Web3. Identifier in Web3 that is like showing your name on different decentralized applications. You can also consider DotBit as a DID NFT traded on different secondary market like OpenSea, Elements, and etc. You can use it as a self-sovereign data container, put your different Web2 or even Web3 informations into the container and linked it with your like Discord, with your Twitter, with your wallet address, and etc. Use it as a decentralized personal homepage. Every time you register a .bit account, will automatically assign you with a .bit.cc that will be your personal homepage. Like it's a link to all of your Web2 and Web3 social graph. So .bit is the Web3 identifier for individuals and also for communities. And so we're also going to talk about our new feature, sub-DID, in this live. So maybe later, I know there is a question related to sub-DID, right?
Indeed, there is. Yeah, I've got. Well, I think what you offer at DotBit is a little bit different to the standard sort of domain name type services, which I think is really interesting. Obviously, yeah, you offer the subdomain or the subdid product, which we'll get onto shortly. Also, for listeners, here is a QR code for the .bit website. So all you need to do is just scan that QR code and you'll be taken there. I will share my screen occasionally as well, just to sort of give you an overview of what we're talking about, and perhaps, I don't know, if you can't have two screens open or something. But yeah, like I said, you operate a little bit differently to perhaps Space ID, which is just quite straightforward. You just buy, an ID and that's about it. But yeah, you do offer quite a few different things, and one of the things that you offer.
Sure. Sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, you identify as an account system rather than a domain name. Would you be able to tell us a little bit about this? The account system that you have.
Yeah, sure. So actually, we regard ourselves as an identity system instead of a domain. So domain is more. So people talking about DNS in term relatively to compare it to the traditional IP service. So that's why when ENS came out, many people think ENS is another form of Web3 DNS, and that's why so many different DID solutions are claiming themselves as a domain service. That's a comparative to traditional IP service because they are domain. So kind of Web3 projects want people to understand what they're doing, so they claiming themselves as domain service. But we do not do that because um, we think it's a wholly different strategy or different ideology for Web3 DID. So, Web3 DID, the idea of Web3 is to bring sovereignty to individuals and to communities. And that means when you're adopting a DID, decentralized identity solution in Web3, users or communities themselves will be provided the most power to customize what they want and to fully control the identifier and to build up identity based on the name, based on the identifier, instead of using just as a domain, just to be assigned with a domain and controlled by ICANN. So that's a totally different concepts between Web 2 and Web 3 identity. And we consider ourselves as identifier and the identity system because, first of all, we're you mentioned Space ID, and I talked about ENS, right? There are so many people ask me, what is the difference between .bit from the rest of the domain, the DID projects like ENS, like Space ID? Um, well, to be honest, we do got a lot of inspirations from ENS at the very beginning. So we found ENS back to 2017, and really was amazed by the idea of ENS. But why we didn't do it? Because we didn't start the project until 2019 and 2020. It was because we cannot actually find what is the uniqueness for us to build another project similar to ENS. We don't want to just fork the code. Um, we just we want something unique. And it was until we actually realized there is a way we can provide the cross-chain identity solution for users, and then we built .bit. And so ENS is more like a Ethereum domain service, naming service. So it was a domain service based on Ethereum public chain. And so then it was a question more about what kind of future users believe. Do you think Web3 will only be one chain dominated, or definitely in the future will be multi-chain ecosystem? So besides the chain with smart contracts like Ethereum, there are also a lot of public chains that has no smart contract but still holds a lot of holders, have a lot of holders and users, including Bitcoin and Dogecoin. So DotBit is different from all the other public chain DID solutions. It is an identity system for the whole Web3 scenarios. So that means DotBit works with any public chain address or even emails and biometric verification methods. Our fundamental chain Nervos is a chain that can verify all the signatures, even from BTC, um, even from a BTC private key. So, which actually means we can install any public chain signature algorithm on this on Nervo CKB, and any public chain's address is able to hold assets issued on Nervo CKB. So, based on the Nervo CKB chain, Dobit is able to verify signatures by any different arithmetic cryptographic algorithm, and the accounts thus can be held by any public chain address. That is the first uniqueness we provide. And also, different from Space ID and different from ENS, Bit charge zero gas fee. Um, every time a user wants to manage or control their Bit account, they don't need to pay extra gas fee. So that sounds not quite exciting right now, but in the future, if the identity service would love to be into a like grow into a utility instead of just trading on the secondary market, if it wants to be a utility, it has to solve the problem of gas fee. So we solved it in the very beginning. Users don't need to pay more gas fee for DotBit in the future anytime they want to use it. So I guess that's the two uniqueness we provide, different from Space ID and ENS. Sorry, that's long.
Very interesting. Yeah. And there was a comment on one of the BSC News posts. So it says, we're going live with DotBit HQ, and then someone commented, powered by Nervos network.
Yes.
And that makes sense now, because I thought they might just be shilling some other project. But no, I fully understand.
Yes.
Yeah, what that is. And so users, obviously, you said, they don't have to pay gas. So how does that work?
Yes.
Is information on the blockchain changed at all, or do DotBit, do you pay the gas?
No.
How does that work?
No, that's a very cool question. Many people ask, so you guys saying you don't need to pay the gas fee, does it mean you're centralized? Because most of the centralized projects can solve the kind of gas fee from their ends, but we're different. So we charge a very little amount of fees. Generally, it depends on the traffic on chain, but generally most time will be around $1 every time the user registers for a DotBit account. And this $1 will support 10,000 times of transactions and on-chain activities for one account. So that's how we do for the gas fee. Every time a user register or renew their DotBit account, that certain little amount of CKB or will be ENS or ETH or dollar be charged and will be hold into their account, and that amount of money will support so many times of transactions and verifications on chain.
Very good. That's clever. Actually, yeah, I didn't realize. That you could do that. No, it just makes sense. Thank you very much. And I'm sort of not really sure which question to ask next, because I think one might lead into the other and vice versa. But I was going to ask, people might be watching and thinking, well, I want to, have a DotBit identity, and how do I go about it? So, they might have, say, EVM addresses, that sort of thing. But how do they then perhaps link their identity to their Web3 addresses and other sort of, I don't want to call them identities, but identities?
Yes. So it's very simple. Register for a .bit account on our main website, and then after you claim it, you can see like in the app decision, like your personal identity home portal, and then you can see the manage page. In the manage page, you can add up your different public chains address, like linked it with the .bit accounts you just bought, and like for example, every time you are using your Ethereum address on different social apps, if you already set the reverse resolvent, we also call it .bit alias, and you will see your name presented on the social app instead of the Ethereum address or instead of the BSC address or and etc. So yes, you can see that.
Yeah. So this is I'm ready to basically make a .bit alias. So I didn't think my whole address would pop up, but never mind. So do I just so this part, is this where I'm skipping ahead a few things, but so with BSC News, we have the BSC News NFT, and obviously we've done some work together in the past, and we've got the BSC News identity, which is great. Does this part, do I have to enter the BSC News sort of prefix here, or can I just enter Tom or something.
It depends on if did you use these address to buy BSC News or Tom? So you can
I
actually
did.
select.
Yeah. But I can't select anything. It might not have been this address. Yeah. It might not have been this address. So
Yes, it depends on
yeah.
like which name you buy under this address.
Okay. No, I'll come to that or back to that when I've remembered. Yeah, what address and things I've got. So well, one thing as well that you've mentioned is sub DIDs.
Yes.
And yeah, oh yeah, do you want to tell us an overview of that and what sub DIDs are?
Yes. So in traditional IP service, there is also like a secondary IP linked to a primary IP. So in Web3, people are also thinking about what is the way to provide more possibilities to identity, to a DID. So we came up with the idea of sub DID. So what is the sub DID? Sub DID is a very innovative function, and every sub-DID is independent to the main ID. For example, tom.bit or BSC news.bit is able to release and set the price for the sub-DIDs. The sub-DIDs also have all of the feature a main ID has, like this, like we mentioned, data container, decentralized personal home portal, and etc. So the main ID set the price and distribute for the sub-DIDs, through which the main ID gains the revenue of the annual fees of the sub-DIDs to the main ID's treasury. So, for example, BSC News set a price for its sub-DID, set some rules for maybe 5 characters and above, charge for $5, or 4 characters and above will $160, just like we set for the main IDs. So, if BSC News set the price rules and release the sub-DIDs, all of the annual fees the sub-DIDs pay will go directly to BSC News Treasury. So it can be a very ideal fundraise methods for creator economy, stars and fans, and DAO and communities. And these subscription methods kind of provide a more flexible way for creators in Web3 to collect fees from the followers and to better liquidify their treasuries. We know a lot of DAOs are suffering from lack of liquidity in during the bearish market. So I know like the USDC event happened. Many of the DAOs are kind of dumping their native tokens and or dumping the USDCs because they're in their treasury. There are not many tokens. Mostly are their native tokens or maybe USDC. That's all. And when the market is not quite ideal, they have to dump their native token, change it into stablecoin, into Ethereum, into BTC, and etc. So um, but the problem is the native token is lack of liquidity. So that's why DAOs are also looking for market makers to, liquidify their native token in the market, and there kind of requires a lot of other works involved and kind of making the whole process very complicated. So what about DAOs have a very clear mission and vision and value, and the followers will love to pay the annual fees, even if only $5 or $10 each year will provide the more followers, the more members a DAO have, a community have, then they will have more possibilities to better liquidify their treasury with different kind of payment methods, even US dollar, even the other fiats involved, as long as the sub-DID system provides the members to pay with different methods, there will be more other choice rather just their native token or USDC in their treasury. So That's something what we can provide with the sub-DID system. And also we are providing the whole, like the fully independent identifier for members and for the community, will means everybody take fully control of their memberships within a community. Like before, we in Web2, maybe I register for wiki on Twitter, we register for wiki on Facebook, and I have some relationship, friendships on Twitter, on Facebook, like separately. I cannot ever interlink with my social graphs on different social platforms. But with the sub-DID system, you can link all of your social graphs like all together onto different platforms. So the whole structure within a community, within a DAO based on sub-DID can be copy and paste onto all of the social graph, all of the social platforms, applications we integrate with. Including like the voting mechanism, you can build it onto based on the sub-DID feature on the social graphs you have in a community in a DAO, and also maybe on different IM message, instant message platforms. You can also group it based on sub-DID, and many other grouping and other compensation methods also can be based on sub-DID. So as long as DotBit integrates with these platform, this is the whole infrastructure will be contained, will be remained, instead of you still need to build another whole brand new community structure on different platforms. So I think that's something Web3 technology can help with the current community structures, and that's how we do it.
Definitely. I think that's very good. I never realized sort of how vast and how versatile DotBit can be or is. And the amount of partnerships or supported platforms essentially that we've got is vast. There's loads. Yeah, this is amazing. It's really good.
We're
Oh,
still
CC
updating
tip.
it.
Oh, sorry, say that again.
Yeah, we're still updating it. There are still like a lot of partnerships haven't been updated, like BSC News. I know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I look forward to that. Indeed. Thank you. No, I think it's really, really interesting. And also, so well, yeah, obviously you said that there's it's around $1 a month or so subscription. And one thing that some people might be a little bit confused about is what is CKB?
Yeah, CKB is common knowledge base. Is just the fundamental public chain we build on is Nervos.
I see. Okay, so to have a .bit identity, does the user need to have CKB as a gas token?
No, not at
Ah,
all. So
okay.
you can see that during the time you register, you can pay with all different kind of payment methods as long as the chain is integrated. We just integrate with Dogecoin, so you can even use your Dogecoin to pay register for a DotBit account, and BNB and ETH, Tron, Polygon, Matic. So like all different kind of payment method. We're going to support fiat payment as well. So that's for registration. And after that, every time you manage and control, you have paid a certain amount of gas fee. And actually, it's within the payment during registration. So you don't need to pay extra gas fee for later any manage and control. So
Okay.
CKB is not involved within the whole process.
No, yeah, I did something wrong. Sorry. And then I just did something really silly. Basically, yeah. So thank you for that. But yeah, that was my fault because I basically selected the wrong network, something that I don't really ever use. Thank you though for answering that. And then if a person perhaps doesn't pay their subscription or forgets to pay, is there a grace period where that identity is held, or how does that work?
Yes, we provide a grace period for people to realize, okay, I actually want to remain the name, but I forgot to pay it, and they can extend their payment during the grace period, and after that will be collect back. So we're going to launch the Dutch auction function very soon. That means there will be a auction period after the account is collected by the system, and will be fair launch, fair release after we collected, after the system collected, and it will still any user who want to register for this name, they can go for the Dutch auction.
Exciting. Very good. And then you've talked about this a little bit as well, but would you be able to tell us some of the advantages of, say, a crypto community, be it, say, an NFT community, to a project that calls themselves a DAO, that haven't yet adopted DotBit? What are some advantages to that type of community or project adopting DotBit and using your platform?
Sure. Many people ask me these questions as well. So they are saying, you mentioned about using sub-DIDs for voting. You mentioned about using sub-DID to identify the memberships, but we can do it for like using NFTs. What is the difference by using NFT and using sub-DID? Well, the uniqueness, the I think the primary difference is NFT is showing as a JPEG or as a picture. It can never be human readable. Everybody need a name, and that's the very simple answer. It sounds not quite persuasive, but let me explain it. So in the community, you can never refer to somebody as, oh, that guy using a profile picture with a headphone on it and a gray t-shirt and sitting on the chair. So
Yeah.
that's not the ideal way we want to refer to people, right? We
Mm.
want to just say, okay, Tom, hey, I have a question for you. Or maybe Vicky, I want to ask you something. Instead of, okay, the girl wearing blah 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 blah. That's not the ideal way we do. Just like we're using wiki.bit to replace my complicated hash address, because hash address is not human readable. So that's why we want to use a name to replace the address. And that's also, we need the name to refer within the community, within a DAO. And we're thinking like every time if you use a NFT gated way to vote, to participate in the community governance, you will actually face a lot of problems. Like you're not able to refer to people's name, and you're not able to, using the NFTs onto onto all different applications and voting platforms, to just showing that is who I am, that is the relationship between me and a community. But sub-DID can solve this problem. Like if I am a member of BSC News, I'll claim Vicky.BSC News, or say Tom.BSC News. That directly represents my relationship with one organization or one community. And this structure will be remained and kept and shown onto all different kind of platforms. At the same time, it adds up to the loyalty between members to a community. If I'm willing to use wiki.bsc news, that's kind of showing the strong connection I have towards these specific organization or DAO. And I think that's the main difference between using NFT and using DotBit sub-DID.
I think it's very clever, and I think I don't see why projects wouldn't use it. I think yes, it's very unique, and I'm a DotBit fan. I'm a DotBit convert. I think it's very good. And how would a user say? Because I see, say, on Etherscan and various NFT leaderboards, people's usernames are well, essentially identities, not just 0x. After a person's registered their identity, how would they then essentially sort of fix it to their address, or just by sort of using your dashboard or using your platform and purchasing or registering that identity with that wallet? Does it happen automatically?
Oh, you have to set the .bit alias on the manage page. After you set the .bit alias on the on your page, you're able to show in onto all different applications and platforms, like as long as it integrated with .bit. And .bit alias is a very interesting function, to be honest. So we're going to talk about .bit alias in the Hong Kong Web3 summits. So it's something only .bit can provide. So many other DID solutions also provide the reverse resonance functions to their users. So that means every time you put an address onto a different platform, so the system will read the address you provide, and the .bit or the other DID solutions name interlink with the address. So no longer showing the address, instead they show the name. So that's called reverse resonant. We called it .bit alias. So there's a very interesting thing. Like most of the other DID solutions, like ENS, they can only allow users to provide their Ethereum address to interlink with these maybe wiki.eth, and it can only show one chain address interlinked with your account. But .bit can support all different public chains address reverse resolvent with the name. So that means during transaction in the wallet, I put the public chain there, and it can read all of the other chains, no matter what chain's address I put, as long as it's already interlinked with wiki.bit, it can read the wiki.bit behind it, and it add up to a lot of safety during transaction. So we're talking about the resolvent methods. ENS do, and Space ID do, and unstoppable domain also do that. So in the wallets, you don't need to input the address, but you put the wiki.eth or wiki.bnb into the address, and it will go directly into the address I interlink, put a resolvent solution with, and we actually think it's very unsafe. So every time the whole system want to refer to the address, they need to go for the index from either from ENS or from Infura. So what if the whole system is hacked? So what if Infura is not refreshed, and they lost some of the data, and the money during this transaction will be lost? So we actually think the safer way to do it is to do the reverse resolvent, that is called .bit alias. Instead of putting the name wiki.bit, we still input wiki's long hash address, but it will read the name behind the address. So when you transfer money to that address, it will show, is that wiki.bit? So you will confirm, okay, this is Wiki. I actually want to send money to Wiki. So then we'll add up to the safety instead of losing the money. We're kind of promoting this feature to wallets right now.
That's good. Yeah, it might sound really silly, but I just opened up my MetaMask and typed in send to wiki.bit. But yeah, and one thing that I was wondering, obviously you support, well, not only different chains, but, well, the possibilities theoretically are unlimited. But do you support different RPC URLs within different chains, as well as the chains themselves?
What do you mean by RPC URLs in different chains?
So, like, if I'm using BNB chain, I'll just get the actual name for it, because that's probably not the technical name. So if I go on 2 seconds, add network on MetaMask. And so if I'm adding a network, hold on. So I'll type in the network name and then new RPC URL. So for BNB chain, I can use one that's on the Binance website, but then there are custom other RPC URLs where my transaction might go through. So for example, the sponsor for the stream is a service called BSC Protect RPC, which is done by a company called Bloxroot, and they offer a different RPC. Does that make sense or not?
Well, it's actually a different thing. So as long as the chain is integrated with DotBit, it doesn't matter which URL you're using.
Fine. Okay. No, thank you very much. Simple. And before this stream as well, you mentioned that you're looking at rebranding, which is very exciting. Yeah, could you tell us a little bit about that?
So we're going to rebrand ourselves, including the slogan, our mission and vision, and how the whole structure of the websites and etc. I'm not going to say the slogan right now, but we're going to say actually we're providing a DID solution for community based. So we think in the future, nobody is actually want to be segregated by the others. Everybody want to be connected with each other. So that's why we still no matter what era people live in, with which part in the history, people are still connected. That's why we have all the politics of the human structures along history, till now. We think that human organization is still the fundamental structure for anybody, for in everywhere in the world. So we want to provide more possibility for communities. DAO is one form of structure in community, but there are a lot of other different kind of structures or different names in communities, in the idea of communities. So we would love to empower communities in that way, based on the sub-DID, based on the main identity solutions we have, providing the self-sovereignty for communities and for community members. That's what we want to do, and that's how we're going to rebrand ourselves.
Brilliant. And is there a timeline at all? I mean, when could we perhaps expect to see the rebrand, or do we just have to wait and see?
It will happen during June. So because our new product is just online. It's called Voti.xyz. Voti is a voting platform based on this DID and the sub-DID solution. So it means BSC News already claimed the BSC News.bit, and the members claim the sub-DIDs based on BSC News.bit, and then BSC News can choose to onboard on Voti, and using Voti as a democratic voting platform for the community members, which part, what decision you want the whole community members to make. You can use it. You can use the sub-DID for gated methods to vote on Voti. One identity, one identifier means one vote. That's something brand new in the market. And also we're going to launch a new product called Sofrag. Sofrag is the SBT launchpad based on the identity and sub-DID feature. So that's also something we provide to empower the whole community. And there will be a lot of other integrations based on the sub-DID and the main identity service. And that means as we're growing more partnerships in the market, there will be more utility for the main ID and the sub-DID solutions, and that will put DotBit into a true utility instead of owning for a secondary market trading methods.
Interesting. And this question is a little bit off topic, but obviously at BSC News, my identity could be tom.bscnews.bit. Do you have the same thing at .bit? So, I mean, could it be, do you use vicky.bit.bit?
So we haven't have our own DotBit account yet. So
Okay,
all of the accounts, because all of the accounts are free launch, so we actually do not, the team, DotBit team does not reserve any account for ourselves. So we reserve a list of account for IPs and influencers. That is the name copied from the IP service websites. It's not made by ourselves. So like ourselves, we haven't reserved any account for ourselves. So it's all free launch. And that's why we do not have a .bit for ourselves currently,
good. No,
for
no,
our
okay,
community as well. So
that makes sense.
in the future, maybe.
Very good. Yeah, I did notice as well that quite a few names are reserved. So, for example, I typed in Tom's
Mhm.
um, just because yeah, longer than 3 letters, and obviously that's a shoe brand, I think, as well, and that was reserved. And I do think on some other services, there's well, there's another service that's only operates on one chain, and it's quite a niche chain. It's not Ethereum or Polygon, and again, it lets you buy anything. So
Mm.
I bought things like Gigabyte, Sony, Microsoft when it first released, and yeah, it's just I'm glad that you have reserved these names because yeah, otherwise,
Because we want to provide more possibilities for communities, for creator economies, right? So for example, what if Beyonce used the sub DID and DID methods and it succeeds, and then there will be more stars and the creators will come to claim their identifier based on the bit, and then they will feel, okay, maybe Taylor Swift is already bought by somebody else, and then Taylor Swift herself will need to pay very insanely amount of money to buy the
mm,
bag. And that's what is happening in Ethereum, in ENS. And that kind of harm a lot of IP and creators benefits. And actually brings a lot of chaos into the whole market. What if the person, the IP Disney is not able to buy Disney? Disney is not able to, or maybe Universal need to pay insanely amount of money to buy the name belong to it. So that's why we start the reserve account list in the very beginning to set the rule. Even before we launch the whole project, we set the rules. Okay, we want to reserve these names for IPers, for creators to claim after they claim it is the name belong to them. So we'll give the name to them instead of keeping to ourselves. It's not for making money for the team, but to provide more possibilities or fair launch opportunities for those IP holders and creators. That's also a way for fair launch, right? Everybody wants the good names. That's how we work for the fair launch for those people.
yeah, exactly. I think that's a very good idea. So when Google comes along to .bit, you'll just be able to say, well, prove your Google, and there you go.
Yeah.
Fantastic. No, I
But
think
there's
that's
still
very
like,
good.
yes, there's a time limited to this. We are not going to hold the names forever. Like for a long time, if they're still not claimed by the IPers or the creators or the companies, will also put the names into free market, so people will able to register for it anyway.
Ooh, exciting. Okay, no, I think that's very good. And I mentioned before that I'd bought these company names on this other chain. I've just done that just to reserve it for them. That's all I'm doing. It's yeah, totally wholesome. And then apart from the rebrand that you've got coming up, where do you see .bit in the future? Maybe a couple of years, 5 years down the line. Because personally, I think the scope or the opportunity is limitless. It really it could be huge. Where do you see it?
So the whole market the DID solution track is very complicated. Is very competitive right now. There, at least from my, I've seen a lot of different other solutions, DID solution, right now, maybe more than 20 already. But most of them still just copy paste ENS code. So that's why there's no innovations. for those projects. There isn't much, we say, competitors in the market from our point of view. So we only say um, how to build the uniqueness based on .bit. We do not we haven't paid too much attention to the other projects, to be honest, because most of them just not quite as the competitors in the market right now. And we think in 5 years, we, just like I said, how we're going to rebrand ourselves. We want to find our own uniqueness, is to provide .bit as a utility for communities, for creators, for DAOs, and for all the different kinds of human organizations. If they want to claim their community sovereignty, if they want to provide more control for their community members, we want to provide a solution for those people. And that is how we regard ourselves. To use the Web3 technology actually benefits the people or organizations in the whole world, not just a small group of people in Web3 scenarios. We are providing a biometric methods, verification methods to control a .bit count. That means normal people who do not understand technology can use .bit, can use their phones, the face recognition or fingerprints recognition to control their .bit account, to use their .bit account, vote, or manage the whole relationships within a community. So that's a gateway for normal, ordinary people to get into this industry, and that's how we're going to like empower the Web 2 or even Web 1 communities to using a Web 3 technology better empower their communities.
Very good. Yeah, sort of a good on ramp for onboarding or mass adoption.
Yeah.
Thank you. One question that I haven't asked, and it's a topic that's not really related to what we've been talking about, but it's the concept of squatting. Would you be able to tell us what squatting is, and also on your website you explain you've got a two-step process for preventing squatting behaviors. Would you be able to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So we talk about the reserved list, right? So reserved list is one method we provide to avoid squatting. So squatters is often refers to people who register for a identity name during the open registration periods, and they hope. If I register for Google.bit, I hope in the future Google is willing to purchase Google.bit back, and then I can gain a lot of profits during this trade. And to prevent that, the first choice the solution we provide first is to hold a reserved account lists for IPers, for creators to claim. And the second is we actually we provide a fair launch. So if the IPers or the creators want to buy their name, we are able to provide a gradually released registration period. So .bit is actually grown from a very small projects from the very beginning. Not like Yanaz, they're like huge in the very beginning, but we start from a very small projects. But to ensure fairness to our users, not only for now but also in the future, we set up a gradually released registration period. So we start from the 5 characters and above, open it for 100% to the users. That means people are able to register any 5 characters and above accounts from the very beginning. But then little by little, we open up the 4 characters to 60% to 80% and fully open. And then we'll also gradually open up the 3 characters account in the future, and then the two characters and maybe one in the future. So the gradually released plan allows newcomers to able to register for the name they want, instead of maybe the good names already bought by somebody else from the very beginning. Some of
Yeah,
the big whales host all of the good names. That is not fair launch, right? So that's the gradually release plan.
very good. No, I that very fair. Thank you very much. I think, yeah, it's Sorry, my dog is biting the door. Because I've yeah, 2 seconds. There we go. No, I think it's, yeah, a very unique system. I think it's very powerful, and what DotBit or essentially sort of community identities and just identities, individual ones in general, you could achieve in the future is, yeah, very impressive. And I think at BSC News we're probably not utilizing it enough. So after this, I'm going to go back and yeah, talk to some colleagues and explore the platform quite a bit more. Because yeah, talking to you now and going through your website in depth, yeah, I'm sure that we're not using it to its full extent, and I would really like to. I think it's really impressive, and I don't think there's any good reason why a Web3 community shouldn't use DotBit unless they are, a direct competitor or something. But for any other project that any project in Web3, they could really benefit, I think, from using
Yes.
DotBit.
Especially for the projects or communities who actually want to empower their community members, giving more rights back to the community members to make, for example, maybe making decision for the whole community. They can use the identifier or the identity solutions in so many different places. So, I mean, that's also what we want to build in the future.
Indeed, and I think it's great, and I hope that, yeah, a lot of communities will adopt DotBit. If I speak to someone and they haven't adopted it and they're in a community or they are a community leader, I'll be a DotBit spokesperson and tell them about it.
Thank you,
I
Tom.
think it's very good. Obviously, I've asked you a lot of questions, and thank you so much for all the really in-depth explanations you've given us. Is there anything that I've not asked you or that we've not talked about that you'd like to bring up at all?
I think so far it's good. So we're actually holding a lot of different events across the globe this year, and also maybe next year. So maybe for people who are interested in participating or knowing more about DotBit, you can go to any of our offline events. Like we're going to host in Hong Kong in April, and also in Consensus, and later, in Token 2049 in blockchain Korea, and a lot. So, like for people who are interested in DotBit, we're welcoming anybody who have questions, who are curious about DotBit, to come and to connect, and we're more than happy to talk to you.
Yeah, I always wanted to go to Hong Kong and Korea, so I'll see if BSC
Come
News
on,
wouldn't mind me taking a trip there. No, that's very exciting. Thank you.
yeah,
And to the listeners as well, obviously here is the DotBit website, which is just did.id. And down at the
yes,
bottom as well of
yes.
their website, they've got Twitter, Discord, Medium, all the links you could ever want. But Vicky, thank you very much for your time. It's been really interesting talking to you and obviously exploring more about the DotBit platform. Is there anything that you'd like to raise at all before we say cheerio?
I'm good currently. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you, Tom,
Look,
for hosting the live. Actually,
anytime. Well, thank
thank
you
you.
very much for coming on. Honestly, it's been eye-opening. And yeah, I think BSC News will utilize what you have to offer a lot more. I didn't realize, probably naively, the amount of things that we could do with our BSC News sub did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, like, if you have any questions, we have also our colleagues always, support to answer the questions.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much again, Vicky. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, rest of morning, wherever it is. But yeah, thank you very much, and yeah, hopefully speak again very, very soon.
Yes, nice talking to you. Thank you, Tom. Thank you,
Thank you,
BSC
Vicky.
News, for holding the live. Bye.
Anytime. Bye-bye. Thank you. Well, thank you everyone once again for tuning in. That was Vicky from DotBit, and certainly a very, very interesting chat indeed. Before we go, I'd just like to mention our sponsor, which is Bloxroot. So they offer a product, as I said earlier, called BSC Protect RPC, which is a custom RPC URL that you can easily add to MetaMask or whatever wallet you're using, and it prevents you getting front run and also prevents sandwich attacks. All you need to do is just scan the QR code at the bottom. And sorry, the reason why I keep on pointing the wrong direction is because my camera is mirrored. So there it is, that one there. I'll also bring up a link on screen that is there. So that's RPC URL. So that's a link on the BSC News website. We've got a list of our custom RPC URLs for different chains, not just BNB chain, where you can, it's a one click and it'll add it to your MetaMask or whatever wallet you're using, including the BSC Protect RPC from Bloxroot. Anyway, thank you very, very much everyone for tuning in once again. We're live every weekday, 7 p.m. UTC. So hopefully I will see you all tomorrow. And thank you once again to Vicky. Very, very interesting chat. Anyway, speak soon.